Hello, good evening, my dear fellow travelers, friends, and photographers. Chris Lee here. I'm glad that I can able to be here again with you in this Saturday, sharing with you another interesting episode of my travels to Peru. This is also the last episode of my travels to Peru. Interestingly, and also this is also one of the highlight of my travel journey to this beautiful country. So if you like my channels, and please support this channel by subscribing, share, and give me a thumb up to these channels. So we are moving on to a very interesting place. It's called Machu Picchu. I think many people have come across this name, and many people have included this place in their travel bucket list. Me too. This is also one of the reasons I'm visiting Peru. But for whatever images that have shown and you've seen from their websites, it's going to be very much different from what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share with you a very different kind of Machu Picchu. Most of the images that I've taken were during a bright, sunny day, good weathers. But in these episodes, I'm going to share with you Machu Picchu under a very cloudy and rainy conditions. And you can see the different modes that exhibit in all these images I'm going to share with you. As there's a lot of images to share, so I will then move on with the images. Then I start slowly give you the information about these famous Inca ruins of Peru, right? So, as the same saying, for those who are with me for the first time, Peru is a nation in the South American continent, and as shown in the map in this slide. And Peru, this country, are basically borders to 5 other nations, namely Ecuador, as well as Colombia at the north, Brazil on the east, Bolivia on the southeast, and of course Chile at the southern tips of Peru. While on the western end is actually a coastline that facing the Pacific Oceans. And our visit, of course, today will be Machu Picchu. And it's important to, when you do traveling, you need to very closely monitor the elevation or the altitudes of the city or the places that you are visiting. Like in this case, in this Machu Picchu, is seated at an altitude of 2,430 meters above sea level. To me, I would consider it's not a high altitude, but to some of the travelers, they may start facing the high altitude sickness, which did happen to one of our tour mates. He have a feeling discomfort even at this altitude level. All right. So let's move on. Now, it's interesting, of course, and also very excited when we travel to this part of the world. And that's because Machu Picchu have been regarded as the lost city of Incas, and also the seventh wonder of the world. And because of that, that is actually is a crowd puller. Most of the visitors that come to Peru, actually, they have one important objective. That is, they want to visit Machu Picchu, right? And likewise, we share the same objective of traveling to this part of the world. And of course, you can see from the image, the introductory images, right? You can see that it's quite on a good day. And these images, I believe, you can find everywhere in the website. Take my words, mine going to be very, very different today. So, if it's talking about a travel journey, as I say, it's almost the end of my journey to Peru. And actually, we are sited actually nearest to the city Cusco. And as far as concerned, to reach Machu Picchu, that is still a distance from Cusco. And there are two alternatives you can go about to reach this place. All right? And of course, to travel to from Cusco to Machu Picchu is impossible because it's even by train ride. There's access by road is going to be quite difficult and tough because of the winding roads. But actually, most visitors will prefer to take a train ride, from Cusco or from the city Ollantaytambo, right? And both of them will take some time. So it's important that when you arrive at the foothill of Machu Picchu, that actually they have two sections of entry, right? Time for enter. So I will go into more on the some things that we need to note when we are planning to visit Machu Picchu, and before we go into the image proper of Machu Picchu for those who are really planning to go this place. And as I look at it itself, going to Machu Picchu, there are only two ways to going there. There is, of course, you have to land yourself in Cusco, the town nearest to Machu Picchu. But to going there, you can go, most people will take by rail. And if you take the rail from the Cusco rail station or train station, you will take about 4 hours of ride. But of course, you can also take a train ride from the Ollantaytambo station, at the Ollantaytambo town. All right, that will cut the travel journey to half. So anyway, for us, we are taking the train ride from Cusco. All right, that took us about 4 hours. That's why by the time we arrive at the village town, right, next to this, at the foothill of this Machu Picchu, we already in the afternoon. And this town is called Aguas Calientes, right, as shown you just now on the map. If you look back to the map, you can see that the Aguas Calientes, and where I pointed here, we stay here, right? We put a night there because to visit Machu Picchu, you either visit the morning section, the first half, or you visit the second half. There's a time zone for visitor, right? Those visiting for the first half, they have to leave before the second half coming in because they don't want to overcrowd this place, right? With visitor. Now, so this is an interesting train ride. Why I say so it's interesting? Because this train, although it's not moving at a high speed, as I say that it took about 4 hour journey, but we are running, the train is run parallel to a very beautiful river. And this river is Urubamba River, right? And most of the rail track is just next to the river bank, and you can see the swiftness of the river water that flowing in this river all the way. And when we are arriving at the Machu Picchu, there's something I need to share with you. It's about the weather, because visiting Machu Picchu, basically you have to, visit to any part of the world. Equally, you have to get yourself familiar with the weather condition of the place that you'll visit at that material time. So, weather in Machu Picchu, the rainy season started from October to March each year, and it's with very high humidity. is warm and humid in the day, but cool at night because of the altitudes, right? It's about 10 degrees Celsius. Now, temperature range from 10 to 27 degrees Celsius. Dry season in Machu Picchu started from May to August. And of course, the humidity is from medium to low, and with night temperature at times drop below freezing point. So this is something you have to decide. If you will visit during the rainy season, right, like us, we're visiting during the month of March, it's just the beginning of the rainy season. We already have a wet day in Machu Picchu, almost the entire day. So that's why the image that I'm going to present to you are going to be very, very different for the sunny day, the image taken during a sunny day. So this is the very typical images you can find on the website, where I give you an overview of the entire Inca range, right? And while we are going to kick off our visit proper to this Machu Picchu, I would like to start sharing with you as I go along with the images that about Machu Picchu. So let's move on with the images at a slow pace, and meanwhile I'm trying to introduce you this beautiful place. Now, the Machu Picchu is one of the well-preserved Incan city town. Located high in the Andes Mountains at an altitude of 2,430 meters above the sea level, and was sited right next to Urubamba River, which is a river just now I showed you that we travel by rail along the way. The range are made up of more than 150 buildings, ranging from baths and houses to temples, and also sanctuaries. Now, Aguas Calientes, the small village town, is the nearest town to this ancient range. And of course, it's also the place for most visitors putting a night there in preparation for the next day ascent to this Machu Picchu. Now, Machu Picchu was awarded the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site in the year 1982 and was named the seventh wonder of the world in 2007. And Machu Picchu was also given another name that most people have attracted by virtue of this name, the Lost City of Incas. Right? So this Incan city door was built in the 15th century and was abandoned in the year 1572 at the time of Spanish conquer. Now, the abundance of this rain was uncovered in the year 1911 by a historians from America. And the name Machu Picchu in indigenous language or Quechua language mean old peak or old mountains. So Machu Picchu is famous for its sophisticated well-built dry lay stone wall and fused huge blocks together, and without the use of any bonding agent. And I've actually illustrated this in my last episode in another Inca range, right? That is actually I can't remember the name again. I would need to refer to it again. But Huaman, Sekse Huaman, right? And it's, of course, the stone block there are much bigger in size compared to here. But in terms of the precision of this stone being cut and placed together, we can also find in this ancient range in Machu Picchu. So they consider, right, and they also believe this type of constructions is earthquake proof, right, as there were numerous sizable earthquakes happen over the last few centuries in Peru, particularly in these regions. and the structure of this rain is still intact. Right. Now, another reason for the popularity is the layout of these rains, that astronomical observatory alignments and well laid out city plannings impress the world, and archaeological gem of Peru. So now let's have a feel of a different kind of Machu Picchu. Now from the image here you can see, they realize actually the mist, the crowd is a crowdy day, and you can see that the mist, or even it could be a crowd, right, at the low level, because the altitude is quite high, 2,000 over meter. So probably it's all the crowds. So actually we are actually looking at it, it's been a time, you have quite a clear view. Suddenly you can find that the whole site is very misty, covered by the cloud of the mist. Alright, so this is actually the situation happened to us during our visit. We took the morning section, and of course you can see it's a very wet day for us, and you can see the floor that we step on. You know, every part of these ancient ruins is wet, right? But one thing you note that you don't find much pondings happen in this ancient ruin. They mean these Inca people, right? They really take into consideration when building this Inca ruin, including in terms of how the water, rainwater, is going to discharge, right, away during a heavy storm. Because Machu Picchu during the wet season, it can really quite wet in the sand. That it could be rain every day. So this is another better view of this Inca rain when the crowd shy away from this spot, right? You can see at the back again is of it. You still can see it's very misty and cloudy. It's considered quite a huge site that and a lot of walking is required. But fortunately, that is the whole ancient ruin is well constructed, and the steps are well done. You know, so it's very safe to walk and in these ancient ruins. See the crowd moving closer to us. The images start to look blurrish in that sand. And you can see a river. You will carefully look at it. So you will find a river right below this, from this mountain range at this viewpoint. And basically, this is the river I mentioned just now, that cutting through and actually serving this region as well as a sacred valley of Incas. So let's move on with all the images around this ancient Machu Picchu range. Right, you can see I like the scene, you know, the moment the crowd clear off the front, the foreground, and as what's seen in this image, it moved to the back itself, and with the mountain range as from the backdrops, it's actually very interesting and beautiful. So almost the whole days, or rather the whole morning, we are encountered with these conditions, and we had to capitalize even sometimes just split minutes or minute or two. When the moment the crowd disappear or disperse, we have to quickly take some images. Why before the crowd or the mist appear again. And you can see the visitor all put on the raincoats, or even some of them carry the umbrella with them. Some of these images they have taken, I like very much, particularly the moods that presented in the images. Like this one, you know, although it's different from the sunny day, but I still feel that this is not bad an image as far I'm concerned. We cover almost every corner of this ancient range, so there's a lot of steps to climb. And the good thing is that all these steps are not very high. The only thing that the because of the rain, it makes photography a bit challenging. Now, important to note that, as usual, a typical feature of Inca range is that they are very popular and famous for construction terrains. This terrain ground, as usual, if you have covered all my other episodes until this point, you know these terrain ground are basically their agriculture zone. Alright, so you can see also in this match, these Inca people are very good in utilizing every single piece of land, because this region is very hilly. So likewise that in order to have a large area of farmland, they have to convert all this slope into a terrain ground for them to plant their crops. The only thing I just wonder where they get all this stone from, because it's quite completely the whole range was constructed use of stone or rocks, right? So you can see at high ground we look down, that is the terrain zone, or rather they call it the agriculture zone of this ancient range. Of course, they are building. Some of building are still with roof on. I believe this was added later at the later stage, because most of the when spent over so many years, since it was only uncovered in the year 1911, that also is about 100 years ago. I mean, yes, about 100 years ago. I believe that all this roof would not last that long. Moreover, the construction and the completion of this ancient range was in the 15th century, or rather close to 16th century, at the 16th century. So as I mentioned just now, you can't see any ponding, water pondings on the alley or the street or the corridors of this ancient range within this city. These are the residential, could also be the commercial area, and you can see that all this stone structure itself, the roof is gone, but then you can still see that the opening passageway act as a doorway, to all these cubicle, stone cubicle. In this part of the work, stone work, you realize actually they get the stone outer face well spaced, right? But then internally, I think they're using some form of filling material inside to stabilize the wall. So you can see even those this stone wall, you can see that actually is the edge of the two sides of the building, and it was basically the roof is gone. So this is very obvious that at this part you can see this building, the stoneworks. All these buildings are without the roof have gone. You just imagine that they can build the entire city with 150 buildings on these hilltops, and they can so well suited to the terrains of this mountains. So this is actually the actual construction of the stone wall at the topmost. Is how it look like. And it's coming to near to this part of the city center. You can see that the stone wall are in a much precision, constructed in a much precise position. Much better. You can see the bottom stoneworks compared to the upper sections. The precision of the stonework at the base is much improved. And this section definitely, I believe, is a more important section of the entire range. And this is of all the sections, I found this section have the largest piece of rocks, and the cutting and the fusion, so-called the stacking of all these together is comparable to the ancient range that we found in Cusco. The Sacsayhuaman, right? The Sacsayhuaman's ancient range, not of Cusco. Even the opening on the wall itself shows precisionally constructed. And this even attract my attention about how we built the stone wall on these slopy rocks outcrops. And this is believed to be a religious ground, and also it has very much to do with astronomy, thing. You can see the way it's positioned, the entire city is positioned, the direction of facing is always toward the important element of Earth, that is the sun. And at the far end, there's a projecting rocks itself. I was told that is where they used the sun and casting a shadow on it is to tell the time. It's just as all those ancient clocks, astronomical clocks. This, I believe, again is a religious place or religious ground. So at the edge of this ancient range you are actually almost at the edge of the cliff, and you can look down and still found this Urubamba River flowing through nearby. These images are taken almost near to the cliff or the edge of the ancient range. So now we will take a look of a surrounding a mountain range around this ancient range. You can see the mistiness on the day of our visit. So this is about all of these exciting episodes, and this ends my travel journey to Peru. And if you are entertained, I wish that you can subscribe and share and give me a thumb up. And for the coming episode, as I have been highlighted last episode, that I'm going to bring you to a nations nearest to Malaysia in the Southeast Asia, right? And this nation, I call it, actually have the name is Cambodia. All right. So when you visit Cambodia, what you are interested in, of course, the Angkor Wat. All right. So I'm going to share with you these nations in two short episodes because this is my 2 day 1 night travels, free and easy travel to Cambodia, and it's really a solo travel journey. So I only can ever share with you my travel journey from the capital city of Cambodia all the way to Siem Reap, where the Angkor Wat is located. So then, and then on the return journey back to the capital city. So that it will be covered in the coming episode of my travel log. And I thank you for staying with me until this hour. And please stay safe and stay strong. And bye. See you next week. Thank you.